Good evening. We are going to be doing some Avara development tonight. Um, kind of. A different type of Avara development. Typically on stream what I would do is I would do some C++, um, uh, coding to add features, but I've actually done that earlier this week. Unfortunately, I didn't do it on stream because I wasn't sure how hard I was going to commit that night. But I was able to get a feature in. I have not merged it into main yet. I'm hoping to maybe do a preliminary merge and some play testing tonight if anybody's around. So let me talk about what I've done. So let's go ahead and open the development branch. I'm not going to go through chat logs or anything, but this is where the party's at tonight. But right now, the branch I'm working on is called Alf Includes. And what I've done is I have made it possible for Alf files, which is the new level format, replacing pict, to include other Alf files. Currently, that is restricted to, it has to be part of the same asset bundle, so the same level set, essentially. I'm considering branching out and making it so that sets can inherit or require, I guess that's is better term, other sets, and then use resources and assets from those sets within themselves, so that you can borrow somebody else's BSP data or sound data, or in this case Alf files if you want to provide alternate variants of existing levels, and or include scripting for Gametypes, which is what I am currently working on. So the motivation for this essentially was that I wanted to be able to I liked the idea of being able to have a single level layout and from providing multiple game types for that level layout. And so let me actually fire up the game here. Let's see. So strict mode, which may need to be renamed soon, because now not only does Bodhi exist, but now there's also a 4-minute Killfest version of Bodhi. The only difference being that instead of the sort of standard Avara gameplay of having 3 lives, or sort of like a 3 stock, in I guess is what Smash Brothers would call it, right? But now it's essentially unlimited lives, and just a 4-minute game time, which is more typical deathmatch or whatever, in most games, right? So instead of people getting eliminated, now there are, you can see the little percent sign. Actually, let me just put the scoreboard up. So you have 999 lives, and were I to play this, or leave this running for 4 minutes, after 4 minutes, the win teleporter would activate, and I would, the game would end. And that's actually configurable. Let me kind of show you. Okay, so let me show you what Bodhi looks like right now. The Bodhi Alf file. This is a special case because I actually have custom information for Bodhi versus the 4-minute Killfest version. Oh, sorry, that's Bodhi. Here we go. 4-minute Killfest. version. So yeah, that has its own, a slightly different level description. But this one just includes a layout file, which is essentially, pretty much the entirety of the old level file, except for the set information, the level description in this case. And so I'm able to include that layout both in the standard 3-stock version and the 4-minute Killfest version. But then I also include in the Killfest this killfest.alf file, which I've just kind of put in a separate directory just to keep things organized, titled Logic. Maybe I should have called it Gametypes. I don't know. But Logic works. And I'm actually sudo passing. Hey Rico, I might play soon-ish. Because I want to test some of this code I'm writing. So I may merge it and create a new build, and I hope to play test tonight. Anyway, so I'm actually setting this variable that I call pGameLength that the Killfest script expects. So I even kind of have a little comment up here. It just says, the length of the game in ticks. And all this does, in this case, is set the default lives to 999. Defines a variable, which is really I use as an event trigger, or a event name, you would say. And I just have a timer that says, start at the beginning of the game, wait the game length ticks, and then fire the game ends event, at which point the teleporter will fire, and has a really, really huge range, and just teleport everybody out of the level. So end the game. So right now, what I'm trying to do, and I I wish I could nerf kill, but I also have a Koth rule set for King of the Hill. So Stratocaster Koth here, and I'm able to just kind of this is just extra geometry to draw the boundaries of the hill. And then I set these parameters that this expects, the Koth script expects, and it does everything for me. And so, I just kind of set the location for the hill is these 3 parameters, and this controls the size of the area, essentially. And that's all the script needs to drop a hill in the map. And unlike most King of the Hill maps, it actually supports all 8 teams. So you can essentially have FFA King of the Hill if you want, without having to worry about writing the scripting yourself, which is really cool. So right now I am working on a capture game type, and what that is, let me load an example. I think this is blue and red. So this might be a good test too, because I wanted to see how long it takes to if I capture 1 point, how long it takes. Okay, so start about 6 or 7 seconds, and we'll see. But essentially, there's these little capture points throughout the map, and it's another, potentially good team game type. And so you capture a point, and you need 150 points to win, and those points accrue over time. And there's actually, three. Let's see here. Three of these capture points in the map. There's one up there as well. And so the more you capture, the faster you accrue points and can win the game. And so it's a little bit, it's King of the Hill-esque, except you're able to, it encourages more map movement than King of the Hill. It's kind of hard to create King of the Hill levels. There's not a lot of layouts, even within Avara line strict mode, that King of the Hill makes a lot of sense. You really kind of almost have to have a layout designed around it, because and honestly, like the layouts tend to be fairly boring, to be honest, because really the only thing that you care about is the center. And so ammo that's like too far away from the center, it's like you're never going to go there. You pretty much just you incarnate, you make a mad dash to the center, and you try to hold it. So this capture point type game type is more interesting, I think, and is more broadly applicable to different Avara levels. So, boy, this sure does take a long time with only one capture point. Because there's actually, like, you need 150 points total, and boy, we're it's been, I don't know, at least 2.5 minutes, and we're only at 45. So I may have to do a better test here. Let me try this again, but capture everything. The script I'm writing for capture points also, it still says 150 points, but I'm trying to make parameters where you can kind of essentially scale it. And so if you have like 5 capture points instead of 3 or whatever, you can make it take a little bit longer by essentially requiring more points behind the scenes. Okay, so that's, we'll say about 25 seconds when I got that last capture point, and we'll see how long it takes with 3 points captured here. But I'm kind of breaking up the capture script into 2 scripts. One to include the general rule set that you would only include once per level, and then a capture point script that you would include multiple times in order to place, like each time you include it, you're essentially creating one capture point. And so it's writing out files this way is kind of interesting, because it's sort of like programming and writing reusable functions that you can sort of essentially pass parameters to and modify. So it's a little bit more abstract than I'm used to writing levels, and it's been an interesting change of pace. And so I'm currently working on the capture point script. Right now, I'm just trying to get a sense of how long it's supposed to take, because the way I'm implementing the capture game type is actually different than Tyrant originally implemented this game type, and so he probably did the scripting on this level, even though I made the layout. I also miss Tyrant. Yep. And he was a great level designer. I'd like to see what he would come up with, now 25 years later. Okay, so that was about 2:45, and I think I said it was about 25 seconds in when I got all 3 capture points. So yeah, I mean, roughly about 2.5 minutes or so to win the game when you have all 3 capture points. Okay, so that'll be useful for when I'm testing my script. All right, let me hold on. Did somebody say something? Nope. Okay. Not relevant anyway to the stream. So let's see here. Capture. Hold on. Let's see. Start. Enter. Okay, so I think the first thing I thought that I wanted to do was actually create. So right now, when you enter the field, it starts opening these, triggering these doors to open. But because I haven't implemented the visual indicator yet of who owns the point, I only really want to handle switching the state on that when somebody triggers, actually captures the point, because the problem is that the way these doors work is that they essentially loop themselves. So the door opens when you enter the field. When it opens, it sends this did open event, and when that happens, it adds a point to the green team, and it closes the door. And it also temporarily suspends these fields so nobody else can capture it for a few ticks. And there's a reason I have to do it that way. And that's one thing that I'm not sure is actually going to work, and that's what I need to test. But with multiple players. Yeah, so because this open event fires multiple times, I just kind of I want to actually here, hold on. I want to break it up a little bit. So open, we'll change it to enters, and Jesus, a lot of these. Okay, so now I want to change this. Enters. Here, hold on. Replace. Okay, but I also want to say when the enter event happens, immediately fire the open event. And I'll do that for every one of these teams. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yellow. Red. Pink. Purple. But yeah, this is essentially programming with Avarascript objects, so it's interesting. Black, black. Oh, oops. That would have been a bug. And that's why this needs testing. Okay. Here we go. So now, when where hold on a sec. I want to decide whether or not I want to move this. How many times the Waldor did its job, and use that for score if it's color based. That's essentially what's happening. Is that whenever the door finishes opening, which takes I don't know, a certain amount of time, it adds a point to the team. Because this capture rules thing here looks for the green point event, and it counts a certain amount, which by default would be 15 if you don't scale it, and then it sends this like notify event to fire each of these in order. Yeah, I wish I could just say, hey, as soon as this thing is done, reset it, but I had to do this weird funky thing where after it finishes opening, I wait one tick and then tell it to open again because it should close immediately. So yeah, after opening. So it's a little crazy. In fact, I wonder if I should no, I think I should leave that there. I'm trying to some of these things I'm trying to decide if it makes sense to move the order of the objects, because I assume that when Avara loops through each tick, that it does it in the order that the objects appear. Handles the frame action for each object. So in some cases, the order might be significant. So I was gonna. I think that's fine where it is. Okay. So that'll fire the open event, and then this receives the open event. Blah blah blah. Okay. So I think now I am ready to tackle the visual stuff. So I want to look at an existing capture level and find those objects. So that is a pretty gray color. So that must be the neutral uncaptured state, and then I think I just need up through here. It's interesting that the angles are different. Okay, anyway, so now let me think. So the enter event happens, and that's when I actually want to trigger the goodie stuff. So I think they're actually not goodies, but color CP1. Color point 1. Okay, first things first. I want to use the C capture viz Y parameter instead of this. And I'll use CX, CZ. Let's so this will be viz X, viz Z, and in fact, let me just rip that out right there. Oh, too many spaces. Okay. So. Let me think here. This just shuts out, turns off the neutral one, and oh, okay, and then these just turn each other off. So in a 8-team scenario, it'll actually be a lot more complicated. So I think I can actually delete this because I just need to handle all the cases anyway. Okay, I can take out these CX, CZ parameters. I'm just gonna go ahead and do the angle